It takes a lot of work and a considerable amount of good fortune for a microbrand to make a name for themselves, and the companies that survived past the 10-year landmark are very few and far between. Pushing almost 15 years of continued activity, Barrington Griffiths should be considered veterans, and their latest model shows that complacency is the last thing to fear, as the Sandon Mark II brings contemporary relevance to a design that's been around for a long time. The moment I put it on the wrist, the Sandon felt slightly larger than your average 39mm watch, and that's partly because upon measuring it, its advertised 39 by 48mm dimensions turned out to be closer to 39.5 by 49. There are two other factors contributing to a perceived bigger footprint: the luxe construction and a relatively large 35mm dial. Leading to the dial, the thin sloped bezel ensures the transition between the mid-case and the beveled sapphire crystal. Looking at the watch dead on, our gaze is met by a very well executed all-polished finish that gives this sports watch a dressy vibe, completed by its 10.5mm height that certainly helps with keeping it under the cuff. Coming back to the lugs, I've never been a fan of the strap bar being held in place by screws, but at least in this case, they are recessed and don't provide too much of a distraction, but make using two screwdrivers a necessity. Therefore, as much as I like to experiment with different straps combinations, I didn't try taking the whole ring leather off out of fear I might scratch the case. Sandon's profile is safe and clean, benefiting from a very well executed horizontal brushing. This is actual footage taken at the Alberta shop that Barrington Griffiths used to machine their cases, and depending on what you value, that's a strong USP of the Canadian microbrand, as they manufacture their watches locally since 2010. One thing that's imported, though, is the Miyota 9015 powering the watch that one can peer at underneath the sapphire crystal exhibition porthole cut into the polished case back that's etched by what I believe is the most succinct text ever: 50 meters, Canada, and Barrington Griffiths logo. Speaking of the logo, replicating it all over the rotor gives it a rather luxurious Louis Vuitton-like appearance. Finally, the signed push-pull crown could, in my opinion, be 1 or 2 millimeters larger, but it's very well machined and finished. The watch is reasonably easy to manually wind, and moving the hands is smooth. In tandem with the AR-coated sapphire crystal, the hands ensure very good legibility. They're perfectly sized and benefit from little touches that enhance the sector dial's sunken midsection. Helping with counting the minutes, there's a nice train track, well complemented by a sub-second track providing accurate time reading, and moving towards the center, we meet an almost complete set of numeral markers where only the 3 is replaced by an unapologetic date window. BG didn't try to mask it by color matching, but instead chose to emphasize it with the help of the printed white indicator, and I have to say, I quite like this choice. What I'm not a fan of, however, is the 10 and 11 numerals, where a compromise has been made in order to keep the spacing. The rest of the printing is tastefully minimalistic and distraction-free. The result of these choices is an original dial that might give some fairer vibes, particularly due to its color. The Sunray purple is deep and dynamic and completes a package designed for all occasions. There's no specification on the provenience of the lume compound used, but its green glow will last for a reasonable amount of time, with hands being the last to wane. I already mentioned the difficulty brought to changing the straps by using the screw bar, and this is really unfortunate as I don't believe the strap lives up to the watch. Yes, it's locally manufactured out of whole grain leather and it's light and supple, but particularly against the vibrant dial, it looks rather dull and somewhat flimsy. This is, in my opinion, a missed opportunity, especially as the signed custom deployant is a great sign of the Canadians' will to offer a superior product. On my 19cm wrist, the Sandon wears closer to 40, both because of the large dial and the extra metal between the case and the strap. It's, however, a comfortable, well-balanced watch that, short of its 50 meters splash-proof water resistance, could be considered a good GADA watch. So, is this a timepiece to ignore, consider, shortlist, or buy? To begin with, the competition at the $500 price point is very tough, with many microbrands outspecking the Sandon Mark II by offering superior water resistance, bracelet options, or anti-scratch coatings. Barrington Griffiths, though, do have a couple of aces up their sleeve, so if you value supporting local brands and want peace of mind, a watch manufactured in Canada by a respectable company that's been on the market for almost 15 years should determine you to shortlist it. For the rest of us, though, I believe there's one or two missing features that would help to justify the price tag. Maybe Mark III. Till then, stay tuned, and if you're like me and love finding gems hidden away from the mainstream, please consider subscribing, thus giving me a chance to find the watch you want.